Go.
I'm not going yet. We're going to go over the reason that the mill is here, and that starts with Benjamin Nye. So, Benjamin Nye was born November 3rd, 1796 in Montpelier, Vermont. Pay attention to Montpelier for a minute, because that's going to come up here momentarily. Nye moved to the area in the spring of 1834. He was one of the first European Americans to settle in the area. Nye was actually in the trade business and would venture as far to St. Louis to sell his goods to Native Americans. Kind of cool. Colonel George Davenport has actually been established on the arsenal by this point, and he's also a fur trader. So we have interactions between Nye and Colonel Davenport, and Davenport had actually bought land out this far. So that ties the Quad Cities in as early as 1838 for this area as well. So kind of keep that in mind. Hint, hint. And around 1837, Benjamin decided to lay out the town that he would name Montpelier, after Montpelier, Vermont, from where he was born. The town at one point had a post office, a store, and obviously you guys noticed that the town didn't survive. I mean, you've got what little bit is left, but that's about it. Yeah, it's got a camping area. In 1839, the government actually granted Mr. Nye approval to build a mill dam across Pine Creek. This was the very first law to approve a dam and mill site in Iowa. In 1848, Nye had actually outgrown the previous mills that he had. He actually had 3 of them that were scattered kind of along Pine Creek, and he had outgrown those, so he decided to build the one that you guys see down there now. Nye was a very respected man in the community. He was a justice of the peace. He was a county board commissioner. Nye was also a protector of his family. He got into several scuffles throughout his time in this area. One that is kind of well noted was Major William Gordon. Him and Nye had actually got into a knife fight, and they both took some very serious wounds when they got into their scuffle. They thought that they were both going to die, but they both actually did live. Nye would finally meet his demise actually up the hill, and the story about his death is Nye actually had hired hands working for him, one of which would be his future son-in-law, George McCoy. McCoy had actually fallen in love with Nye's daughter, Harriet, and Harriet and George had eloped against Benjamin's wishes, and this kind of already had him mad, already had him upset at the whole situation. He didn't want his daughter marrying the hired hand, that type of thing. Well, George took off and left to find his fortune out in California. He was actually gone for 2 years, and he had enlisted the help of one of his good friends to take care of his family while he was gone. So he literally uprooted, left his wife, left his children, and was gone for 2 years looking for gold. Upon arrival 2 years later, he finds out that his wife had actually slept with the friend that had been taking care of him, because he comes walking up and she's got a baby in her arms, and he's like, hey, what's going on here? That's not my kid. So trouble began to ensue because of the fact that, that's not my kid. You cheated on me. I'm going to take my kids and I'm going to leave. Well, Benjamin Nye did not like that idea, and he wasn't going to let anybody take his grandchildren from him, or so he thought. And so Benjamin Nye and his son-in-law actually got into a pretty good knockdown drag-out in front of his children, their grandchildren, clubs, guns, knives, all used, and it was literally a battle to the death, which would actually be the end of Benjamin Nye because he was actually killed. We will take you to the spot. There's a small marker that's up there. We will do a little bit of investigating up at the spot, but it's actually quite a ways up the hill. He's actually buried in the cemetery that's over here. Something that many of you guys probably don't know, and I'm actually hoping that you guys don't know this one. Nikki would probably be the only one that does right now, unless you guys have heard stories from the ladies down here. The cemetery, as you see it now, is very small. It didn't used to be that way. It actually went across the road. They actually went out and probed, and they did find several graves out on the other side of the road, and there's probably some underneath, because back then they didn't really care where they put a road. They were going to go over graves. We have captured activity down there. Actually, we believe it was Benjamin Nye that we were actually talking to one night. I need to get my bearings here. Emma and Clara Brandt, who actually owned the biggest majority of the land, which is going to be the other side of the park that we will be taking you guys to as well. By the way, we are not walking. We're going to be driving to most of these places. But Emma and Clara actually owned the biggest portion of the park. I believe it was like 95 acres or more. Not for sure how that fit into that. But they have a tie to the Quad Cities. Not only did their father come here from Germany and kind of settled his roots out here, but they were like big proprietors for Muscatine County as well as Scott County. And this is where this all comes in. Emma and Claire are actually buried at Oakdale Memorial Gardens, so Oakdale Cemetery in Davenport. They're actually, I guess they're in the pamphlet for the cemetery because they're in a mausoleum out there, and it's actually really big, and they're actually the ones that kind of put forth the money to have the cemetery actually put in place out there. So kind of cool, kind of ties into everything. Just so you guys also know, this was also Indian land. The Sauk and Fox Indians kind of traveled up and down the Mississippi River. Obviously they had a permanent settlement in Rock Island County, in between the Mississippi River and the Rock River, and they did frequent up and down through here, and as soon as the government kind of took their lands away from them, they were kind of pushed this way. So, you know, they did have small settlements through here for a period of time. The Lewis and Clark expedition did end up through the area as well, and obviously well-noted Mark Twain ended up in the area, and he did write some stories about certain, you know, specific areas that he actually ventured to, obviously Muscatine being one of them. So pretty much what we're going to do is, this is going to be kind of the rule for the evening. You see trash, I want you guys to pick it up. We've got plenty of garbage bags that'll be with us. We try to leave places cleaner than what we see them. Please be very respectful of the areas that we will be going to. I know that other people aren't. We kind of try to follow the rules of things. Bathrooms are going to be over here, so if you've got to go at any one point in time, this is where you guys are going to have to go. I'm sorry about that. I mean, guys can kind of go wherever they want to, obviously.
I was going to ask if we could be in the woods.
I'm not recommending that you pee in the woods.
You hear that, guys? No peeing in the woods.
I'm sorry, but with too many little kids, I don't think anybody wants to, because, you know, we're not the only ones that are going to do it. We will
Say hi, Facebook.
Designated areas to smoking as well. We're going to kind of split up into teams. I'm going to have a group of you guys go down to the cemetery with me. Nikki, I'm going to have you take people up to where Benjamin Nye was shot, and go ahead and start there. We actually do have a few more stories about the area. Actually, she was kind of telling me that the Lutheran church that you guys are gonna pass as you guys go up to Nye, where Nye was actually shot.
I was talking about Lutheran homes.
Oh, Lutheran homes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Never mind. My bad. But so we're just gonna kind of split up into teams. You're gonna be taking your vehicles, so you don't have to worry about it. If you guys need to leave, feel free to leave. If you guys need to go to the bathroom, just make sure that we know that you guys are coming back. We'll try to kind of, stay kind of, around. Once you guys actually get onto the other side of the park, yes, you guys will be walking the trails. So water is suggested when you guys go. We will meet back up here around 6:30, 7 o'clock for kind of like a detailed break with just kind of everybody, kind of get you guys' thoughts, kind of get you guys' feelings on the location. If anything did happen, we're going to kind of brief each other on it. That way then all the groups kind of know what's been going on, where you guys were at. So how do we want to break this up? Who wants to be with me?